This is Convos with
Chi
and Ren. Okay, so right now we're in downtown Chicago.
Yep.
We're on Van Buren Street, heading to the park. I think this is Gage Park, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that's food we got from All Stars. Oh yeah, here's your laptop.
There we go.
Okay, so today we had a workshop called Interpersonal Connections. So, like, you know, low-key when we came, we were like, we didn't know what to think. Like, we thought it was gonna be really boring.
Very confused.
Yeah, we were not as excited. Like, we were kind of excited, but low-key we were like, okay.
We were like, is this really gonna benefit us? But we walked in. We started the. I'm blanking.
We started. Okay. I'll explain the first activity we did. So, well, actually, first when we got there, we ate because we were early. We were like an hour early. So
Yep.
we had some like tacos.
Yummy
They were
tacos.
pretty good. Like pretty good. So first thing we did when we got there was we did a little like kind of improv. I guess you could say it's improv.
Yep.
And we had two partners. So there's partner A, and partner B. And partner A exposes something vulnerable about themselves. And by vulnerable, we mean something maybe you're not comfortable talking about, something that, you know, you just feel like you hadn't expressed before, you don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And after person A says that, it's maybe like a sentence or two, then person B will go and say, well, wait 8 seconds, and then come up with a response. After that, person A waits 8 seconds and says thank you. And then it repeats again with person B.
Yep.
For me, that workshop was like really inspiring. I think that doing that workshop, that 8 seconds allowed us to really like respond, really like reflect on like how people feel. And it definitely like gave me like a new perspective on how to respond when someone's communicating how they feel, how to be more empathetic, and just taking the time to actually listen.
Yes.
So that's lucky how I felt.
Yeah. In my group, I was lucky enough to be letter A, and as she said, letter A went first, and I had to tell my partner what my vulnerability was, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I couldn't figure out one.
Really?
So I had to tell him one thing that I used to feel back then in the day, and that's that when I used to work out every single day, like 5 months ago, I was working out every day, nonstop, and I wasn't seeing any progress. So that's what I told my partner, and after I told him that, he waited 8 seconds. He was listening, formulating his response, a thoughtful response, and then he gave his response. It's very thoughtful. I might text him later about it, because he's a nice guy. And then I waited 8 seconds, said thank you, and then he gave his vulnerability. And I felt that it really taught us how to become proper listeners and to not be too quick in your response, as being quick in a response won't be a quality response, you know? And yeah.
I agree, yeah. When I was talking to like my person, I kind of talked about like how I guess, okay, this is kind of personal, but I guess what we're talking about. In band, you know, there's like a lot of people who are like really good, and sometimes you compare yourself, and then you're just like, well, I'm not really enough. And oddly enough, my person I was talking to, she's also in band. She plays French horn, and she also felt like the exact same way. And it was nice knowing that, you know, I didn't really know her that well. I never really talked to her that much, but knowing that like someone else I don't really know also felt what I was feeling, that kind of made me feel validated. And because she felt it, her advice felt more sincere because she knew what I was going through. So
She could relate to your troubles.
Yeah, she related to my troubles.
And hey, you know, we're all band kids here. We all feel that need to strive for success and be the best in the band, but you have to remember that a band isn't just one entity, it's an ensemble. And they also taught us that at DSY.
Yeah.
So, Serenity, after we did the 8-second listen activity, what did we do next?
Well, next, we kind of had a message from David Cherry, and he introduced us to the conversation that we had for the rest of the meeting, which was about mainly poverty. When you hear the word poverty, you think of poor people, or you think of maybe something negative or something to be ashamed of. Throughout this talk and conversation, we got to hear many different stories, perspectives on what kind of poverty meant for everyone and how it's affected everyone. And I mean, I kind of came to the conclusion, I think along with some other people, that poverty cannot be defined as a bad thing. Poverty is something that lingers on, and it's not society. It's not one person's fault for poverty. It's a society issue, and it needs to be addressed by the society.
And after David Cherry gave his introduction onto our topic for the day, which was poverty, we were in a circle, and everyone each had to give their own pitch on how poverty has either affected their lives personally or what their thoughts are on poverty and an experience they've had on poverty in real life. And one story that stuck out to me was from one of my close peers in the program, and she was explaining her living situation at home, and it really moved me because I never would have expected that to come out of her mouth. She looks and acts as if, she's just everything's okay. She's just fine. Her living condition at home is perfect or close to what we deem as perfect in society, and that wasn't the case. She was struggling. Her mother was struggling, and I felt bad for having this assumption based off of her appearance, and that goes to show, never judge a book by its cover, because the inside will change your life and change your views. And when I was listening to her story, I almost shed a few tears because I was baffled, honestly, that came out of her mouth. And any thoughts?
No, I completely agree. A lot of people shared a lot of stories, and it was something we would have never expected to hear from them, and we would have never known unless that conversation was had. And I think it goes to kind of say how poverty can almost also be an invisible problem that affects us, similar to mental health, actually. I think hearing those stories definitely moved me a lot as well. A lot of those stories, some of those people, I kind of knew them a little better, but even then I didn't know it. And just to hear that, it made me, it kind of made me feel entitled, and not in a negative sense, I think I'd say, but it just made me feel like, I definitely don't deal with those things. And it made me want to figure out how to help people in those situations, because, I go through bad things too, and those bad things, I also feel like I don't have anyone to tell or explain how I feel. So when it came to talking about how they felt, how openly they were able to talk about such serious and deep topics, one, it kind of made me feel like, okay, yeah, I can definitely talk about the things I have to talk about, but also made me feel like, hey, I want to be there for them and be there to support and uplift them, because they'll definitely do the same. I think it made me realize that we are all still a community in All Stars. We are really all connected, a lot more than we thought, and especially from today. I think we made a group chat. I think we're gonna make some long-term friends.
We did make a group chat.
Yeah.
And we further solidified the importance of seeing life as not an individualistic life, but an ensemble, a team. We're all a team. Every human on earth is a team. If you don't believe you have to work in a team, not only to be happy or successful, but just to be a social person, you're wrong. Life isn't about the individual. Life is about the mass.
It's about all of us.
Yes. And when in the circle, when it came for me to talk, I talked about the time I went to San Francisco and all the homeless people I saw there. The homeless population in San Francisco is ridiculous. When I was down there, I was driving through a street and there was a literal bonfire in the sidewalk. It was one of those canned bonfires. And all the homeless people were huddled around trying to keep warm in the slightly cold environment because it is San Francisco. But still, it's sad to see that these homeless people are even in this situation itself. When 3 blocks down, you see all the rich businesses such as Rolex, Saks Fifth. I mean, it's disgusting almost to think that these rich individuals, these wealthy individuals, are not only doing nothing about the homeless population or trying to support them, but they're almost gloating. They're supporting it. They're gloating it. I mean, it's just terrible. And they're within it's the proximity that disgusts me. It's not only that they're not doing anything, it's that they're so close and not doing anything. And I feel like it's an issue that doesn't get addressed enough, especially within politics or just normal friendly conversation. People don't talk about homeless people enough, and that needs to change.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like, especially here in Chicago, right now we're standing downtown. They're multi-million-dollar buildings. I mean, these buildings cost millions to make. However, the city has a huge homeless population, but it also has a large population of money circulating around. This is a wealthy city. And to say, like to Malachi's point, you can be on the south side and just drive down the street and you can see better roads, you can see better schools, just a block away. And that's intentional. That is by design. And you can take a look in any Chicago neighborhood, west, east, south, north. The differences between the sides of Chicago are completely insane. And, I just agree that in terms of like poverty, a lot of it gets overlooked in our society, and we excuse it by saying, why should we have to deal with that? It's not our fault they're impoverished. It's not our problem. But again, it's a society issue, and we're all working together. We're all a part of this life. And especially among people of color, we should know that. If one black person is going to jail, it makes us all look bad, right? So we know we are all personally interconnected. So we have to be there to support each other, and we have to be there to help each other. And that's why there's so much rage and violence among people in poverty. And when we're saying in poverty, we're not just talking about homelessness, but we're talking about people who are barely getting by. We're talking about people who live in bad neighborhoods because it's the only place they can afford to live. And we're talking about people who are being forced to go to schools that are in bad neighborhoods or not being given a proper education, because all of that I would consider poverty. So it's really common among impoverished communities that there's violence, and there's drug use, and there's alcoholism, and there's mental illness, because if you're in poverty, you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to get out of it. So they don't want you to succeed or get up. So they try to get you to compress it down and keep it inside of yourself.
That's what the government does. Poverty isn't, as Serenity was saying, it isn't something that just happens. It's purposeful. They created this, and as in you can do the government, some would say white people, but it's not always a racial thing. It's about those who are in power don't want to lose their power. And with the communities being in poverty, the powerful will never cease to be powerful.
Yes.
And the poor, the weak will never reach that level of power that the powerful has.
Yeah.
And that's the government, politics, billionaires, millionaires. It doesn't matter. It's those who are suppressing people's abilities to equalize society.
Rise up.
That'll never happen because they keep on suppressing them. Whether it's government programs being established to get people used to getting these government checks so they don't have to do anything or put any work in, or it's people being on the streets and being homeless who aren't able to get off the streets. I feel like it's terrible, and we'll most certainly talk about this in the next episode. But today, this was Convos with Chi
and Ren.
See you guys later.
See you in the next one, guys.